All my life, I've never wanted to be a part of my father's business, but he just kind of expected it out of me. So now that I've joined it and I've put my dedication completely into it, I make one small mistake and my father comes up to me and threatens to kick me out of the family business. Well, you know what? He doesn't have to threaten me. I might just go join the competition that's been up our neck for the last month and tell them every single thing I know since my dad is not very grateful. Let me tell you what I'm going to do first.
Today I did something that I don't think I should have done, but it's not necessarily the wrong thing. I think I'm fully right here, but I'm still scared of facing my parents, and since I did this in a fit of rage, I'm also feeling bad about it. Since I have nobody to talk to about this, I thought that I should write here and see what you guys think. So let me explain a bit more clear. I'm Leo, 31, male, and I think I've done a terrible thing this morning. I kicked my stepbrother Mason from the apartment that I rented and refused to let him back in. Without a bit of context, my situation's very hard to understand, so please bear with me while I give you a short backstory. I come from a wealthy enough family, but seeing me, you would not think that at all. Actually, if you met all my family members and me, you would think that I joined the family just a few years ago. That's because most of my family members are ruthless, heartless, and uncaring. Or at least that's been my experience my whole life. We have a family business that's pretty successful, I'll talk about it a bit, and me and my dad Chris and my stepbrother manage it together. Even though I grew up around bad family members, I still grew up to be a fine man. I guess that's because I have more of my mom's blood in me than my dad's. My mom, Julie, according to my aunt, was the most amazing person ever. Everything good I've learned about my mother has been from my aunt. That's because she passed away as soon as she gave birth to me. Now, to any normal human being, this would be an absolutely devastating thing. But, according to my aunt, my family probably celebrated this. Now, I'm not saying Dad was actually happy with it. He was probably the only one who cried over it. But he did move on quickly. Okay, for context, my dad's side of the family, including my late grandparents, absolutely hated my mother very much. She was from a poor background and a poor family, and while my dad came from a wealthy one, all of them hated her and begged Dad to leave her long ago. He did love her and wanted to live a happy life. But as you know, that did not work out for him. Since Mother passed away giving birth to me, I think Dad saw me as the reason behind Mom's death. We've never had a conversation about this, but I think that's the reason he's always been cold towards me. I know what you're thinking, why haven't I talked to my dad about this, right? Well, the thing is, you don't really miss what you never had. Because my dad has been the same cold self all my life. I never really missed having a warm, loving dad. I mean, I did wish that he was a little caring about me, but I also have always understood why he was not. He lost everything the day he gained me. He has a little right to hold resentment against me, and my aunt long ago tells me that I was the same as my mom when it came to being over-understanding and too caring about others. I know it's not a good quality to have, but I love it. Okay, continuing. Dad then got remarried 2 years after I was born, and both he and the family were very happy, and my stepmom, well, she also came from a pretty affluently rich family. Soon after that, my stepbrother was born, and he became the most lovely kid in the family. The funny thing about all this is that I've always seen my stepmother as my own mom since she was the one who raised me. She did care more about me than Dad, but as soon as I became an understanding teenager, she made it clear that I was not her son. It hurt a little, but by this point I had already learned to not depend on my family members for care and love. So I simply told her I understood. I still care about her, but I don't see her as my mom anymore. Also, the rest of the family, including my grandparents, never loved me or even liked me. Can you guess why? Because I had my mother's blood in me. Yes, that's actually the reason behind it. Crazy, right? They actually tried to make me feel bad and hate that I was born from her. Obviously, I never listened to them, and I'm glad that my aunt was there to tell me the real things about my mom. As sad as it sounds, it was not as hard growing up. Yes, most of my family members hated me, but I also never had to financially suffer. So I believe it's a give and take. Yes, given the choice, I would trade to have a loving family, but I'm saying that it was not as bad as it probably sounds. I was lonely a lot and had to do everything by myself, but I grew up fine. Dad was happy with stepmom and stepbrother Mason, and I was happy for him. But unlike me, Mason grew up differently. He was heavily influenced by everyone around us, and even though I tried my best to make him better, he still turned out to be the same as everyone else. He also grew to dislike me, and as soon as he grew a little, he started avoiding me. Growing up, we were like brothers, but not everything's different, see. For the longest time, I had thought about moving away from this college, at least after college. But when I graduated, I couldn't. See, our business, it was in bad shape, and I just knew that if I worked hard enough, I would be able to help it. See, the thing is, no matter how badly Dad and Mason treated me, for me, they'll always be my family. I've grown up caring for and loving them, and I just can't turn it off now because I need to. So when I had the choice, I decided to go into our family business and help Dad, and he really appreciated it. I loved working with him because at that point, that was the only time it felt like he liked me. I also decided to stay because Mom had helped around in our family business, and would have been sad if I had left it to die. So at this point, I've been working for my family for over a decade. After Mason dropped out of college, he also joined the family business. He was not talented in both studying and business, of course, but since he was the prince of the house, nobody could ever tell him anything. Not that I cared about it, but it still felt bad to never get recognized no matter what I did. But my stepbrother got parties just for passing. Mason wasn't interested in anything except for using Dad's money and living a fun life. But he was smart and knew that he could not just stay at home and do nothing, so he joined the business even though he did not care about it at all, and acted like he did in front of our dad. Believe me, I wish he was good at it, but he just wasn't. And he is not willing to learn. What hurts the most is that I tried to make him better at his job, but he never listens to me and never really tries. But obviously, Dad doesn't see it or doesn't care, and neither does the family. Now let's come to the real problem at hand. Throughout the years, I've taken over most work, and Dad barely does anything anymore. I knew that he was going to retire soon, and yes, I know it's stupid, but I believed I was going to get his position. I was the most qualified of everyone, and my brother was not interested. But obviously, things did not go well. Also, for the last year, Mason has been living with me in a rented apartment. Dad forced me to live with him, and it's been a terrible experience. He bosses me around all the time, and I have to do most of the things that he says because of my dad and stepmom. Also, I've been in charge of teaching him everything I know about the business. If you're wondering why, you're about to find out soon. So yesterday, Dad made a surprise announcement that he was going to retire soon and announced the next head. Well, guess who the head is? And yes, it's my stepbrother, Mason. After a decade of working tirelessly for the company and taking it to new heights, this is the thanks that I get. Dad gave it to the one person who wasn't even interested in the business and did not care if it lived or died. I tried to talk to him, but he tells me that the decision is final, and he deserved it. Stepmom told me that as long as I had my mom's blood, there was no way that I was going to get anything from them. As you can imagine, this had me pretty upset. And the fact that my stepbrother was celebrating right in my house, it made the situation worse. So yesterday was a bad day, and I woke up today in an even worse mood. Mason was mad that I did not celebrate with him and started complaining. I told him that I wasn't in the mood for his jokes or things like that, and he starts bragging about how he got everything without doing anything. He started telling me how life was not fair and how he was going to make me do all this stuff in the office. I was taking everything calmly until he started insulting my mom with me, and at this point I slapped him and kicked him out of the home. I went ahead and did something else. I threw all of his stuff and told him to not show his face again. He was pretty upset and tells me that I wasn't going to get away with this. I told him I don't care. Now it's been a few hours and Dad and stepmom are blowing up my phone. I don't want to talk to them because I know what'll happen if I do. But even after all this, I feel bad about it. It's crazy, right? I have no idea what to do next. Do I apologize to my stepbrother for losing my composure and inviting him back, or stand my ground with everyone? Both ways, I know that I'm going to lose, but let me ask you this. What would you guys do? Update number 1. It's been 2 days. I think it'll be fair, at least, to say that I'm in the thick of it at this point. Before I tell you guys what's happening, firstly I want to thank a few people who tried to help by giving me advice. Sincerely thank you from the bottom of my heart. And well, yes, my life has never really been normal, but at this point I feel like a character in a book who has hit rock bottom. So after my update, I obviously could not keep ignoring my dad and stepmom's call and decide to talk to them. As soon as I picked up, I get a whole lot of screaming for touching their precious child and throwing him out. Dad asked me to meet him immediately, and as soon as I saw him, he slapped me and told me that I was going to take Mason back and beg him for forgiveness for my behavior. I told him no and asked him to first hear me out. I told him what happened between us and told him that I would take everything else from him. But just talking bad about my mother being dead was not the thing I was going to tolerate. I told him that I was done with my brother and there was no way I was going to take him back no matter what. But obviously I was just bluffing because I knew Dad would be able to easily force me to take him, which he did. And by the time next day came around, the whole family was on my back for throwing him out. But as I kept standing my ground, my dad made me a deal. He told me I did not have to apologize as long as I let him in the apartment and did not throw him out again. Honestly, I didn't want to, but the more I thought about it, the more sure I got that they were not going to let me live it down if I didn't. So I agreed to let him in the apartment, but there was a catch. They didn't know about this. Mason came in smiling, knowing that he had yet again won against me without even lifting a finger. I'm pretty sure that he had a whole speech or something planned to make me feel worse about losing to him after what he did, but I didn't give the man the chance. See, everything else I could live with. I've lived with him for so long, but I did not want to hear people badmouth my mom. This is the main reason I left the family house, and also I knew that since I had hit my brother and refused to apologize, he was going to keep badmouthing her as a punishment to me, knowing I wouldn't do anything anymore. So, as soon as he walked in, well, he saw me packing my bags, and before he could understand what I was doing, I left. I told him to take care of the apartment that I really love and left without giving him any other explanation. He starts asking me if I was, doing something crazy, but I just left him in suspense. I'm pretty sure he figured out in a bit and swiftly called Dad, because I get a phone call from him as soon as I reach my friend's place. He asked me what the hell I'm up to. I told him this was what he asked for, and he asked me to let Mason, go back into the apartment, but he didn't tell me that I need to stay. I tell him that I loved the place, but I didn't love it enough that it would be forcing me to live with Mason. I made it clear to Dad that I was not living with him anymore, or helping him with work, and no matter what he did, he was not going to be able to change my mind this time. Dad warned me that tomorrow morning he better not hear that I'm not back in the apartment, and I told him that's exactly what he was going to hear. I was done listening to his demands and fully believed that there was nothing that he could do to force me. But I kind of forgot how little he cared about me. You're not gonna believe what he did this morning. This morning, when he found out that I was still out of the apartment, he called me and threatened to end my career. He tells me if I did not do what he said, he was going to kick me out of the company and ruin my credibility so I won't be able to find a job elsewhere. He threatened to ruin my career if I didn't do what he said. I was left speechless after this and told him that I was going to think about it. He gave me a day also. He wants me to keep helping Mason run the company, so I'm pretty sure he knows that Mason does not know how to. Can you believe it? He's threatening to throw me out of the same company I gave my blood, sweat, and tears to after not getting any recognition for my work. This is how he wants to pay me back, huh? You have no idea how much regret I have joining this stupid company and giving it so much work. I wish I had turned around when I had the chance, but now I'm stuck asking, what do I do? Update number 2. Hey guys, it's been almost 2 months since my last update, and I want to say thank you for all the support. I mean it. A lot of you guys told me to just leave everything and see what happens instead of living in this hell. You're correct in thinking that it's a better option, but I found an even better one. I didn't want to stay here either, after everything that happened recently, but I also did not want to just up and leave. So I made a plan, and it's been working super well. And in a few weeks, I'm going to leave this company and my family forever. I guess I should explain everything before I tell you anymore. After my last update, I thought a lot about what I should do. I cared about my family, but they didn't care about me. Also, I put a lot of work into our business and had zero security and got zero appreciation from it. Everything I thought about made me want to just quit it all and go somewhere else and start a life for myself. At this point, I knew Mother would understand why I did what I did, and I had started to understand that no matter what I do, I'm not family to anyone here. I'm only a tool that they're going to use as long as they can, and then they'll probably throw me away as soon as I serve a purpose. After I was sure of that, I decided that I was done with all this, and I was going to get back at them before leaving. See, I knew that my brother was not competent enough, and without me, it would ruin the business until Dad came back to help, so I knew I need to do something else while securing my career. Then I made a game plan and called up my dad. I told Dad I wasn't going to go back to the apartment ever and was only going to keep working and helping Mason as I loved the company. He knew how much I cared about it and agreed to let me keep my job if I kept helping him do the work. After this worked out, I started going to the office while preparing for the next step. Just like I predicted, Mason was still mad at me and started doing everything to make me mad and generally make my office life hell. He used his authority to make my day worse and made me do all the work. But I wanted him to do this because I was recording every interaction. Every little thing that he did to me was recorded, HD, 1080p quality, so that I could later show the world how the CEO of the business operates. So I recorded, waiting for him to do something even worse. Then last week, when we had a small argument about something, he tells me how I didn't matter, and how even though I did all the work, he got all the credit. He also insulted my mom and I left, but only after I had recorded it, duh. This gave me more than enough, and in about a week I'm planning on leaving the company, but where? Where, I hear you ask? Well, I'm planning on going to the rival company that has a great potential, that I'm sure can become real competition to my dad's company with my help. I never mentioned this before, but throughout the years, a lot of our rival companies have tried to poach me because they understood my importance in the company. I've always respectfully just declined, because I was very loyal to my company. But as you know, now things have changed. So about a month ago, I contacted a few and talked to them about joining the company, and I got many good offers. I decided to accept the company with the best potential, and will be joining there in a few weeks. I love the fact that Mason thinks I have no other option and is happy to make my life hell. But he is soon going to understand what life is like without me. I'm going to make him, Dad, and the rest of the family regret treating me the way that they did. Update number 3. This is the final update of the story. Oh man, it's been several months. Thank you for waiting and helping me. You're going to love this one. 3 months, yes, 3 months, 90 days. That's the amount of time it took me to do what I planned. So 2 weeks after my last update, I left the company, but not without making a jerk out of my brother. While in a meeting, I opposed his ideas. He started screaming at me in front of, well, everybody, and I mean it. There I clapped back and told him that he had no idea how to run a business, and that he was just a monkey in a suit. The people in the meeting had no idea how to react. I also told him that I was done looking at his ugly face and told him that I regretted slapping him and wish I punched him. You know, in this exact way, I might have reshaped his ugly little head, and he was so mad that he called security and threw me out, and I left happily. Then Dad called and told me that he, well, never wants me to show my face in front of him again and tells me he regretted having me as his son. I told him to remember his words when he needs my help next time. With that, I left everything and joined the rival company with one phone call. My new company treats me amazingly, and I even get paid more, and the appreciation is off the chart. It was like a dream come true, and right after I joined, I released a video of Mason while messing with me and making my life hell to the public. And in the span of a few days, the video started doing its rounds and started to go viral. Slowly, a lot of people saw the video, and it actually ended up affecting the company's reputation as a lot of people in the public stopped purchasing from them. While all of this was going on, I was working hard with my new company to make sure we overtook them, and with my help, we poached a lot of clients. Because of my experience, I knew exactly what I needed to do to get them. And since my father was not the head anymore, they trusted me more than Mason. Also, having him as the head already gave me a great advantage, as even the most loyal clients did not like him much, so it was very, very easy. Also, Mason did me a huge favor by making really stupid decisions and refusing to listen to others' advice. And this ended up making things worse for the business, and I'm sure Dad must have saw the domino effect of me leaving the company and started getting distant at this point. So, my brother's incompetence mixed with my new company stealing clients from them led to a huge loss for their business. The kind of loss Dad had not seen since the time he took over, and I'm pretty sure this scared him really bad because he came a-running. So, about 2 weeks ago, Dad contacted me for help, but I kept ignoring his calls until I basically made him beg to come to me with help. He told me that he had thrown the brother of mine out, that he was never stepping in the business anymore, and that if I agreed, he was going to make me the new head. I told him that I had given him the chance many times, but he missed it, and now I could not help him. I told him it's far too late for that, and even though he kept begging, I just refused to listen. After that, I've not heard from him nor seen him, and I'm very happy with my new life. I think I made a good decision by doing this, and I wish I had gotten out of there way before. What do you guys think? Did I make the right move?